Okay, let's do some example for 3 by 3 matrices. So what is our target? Let's say this is matrix A. So A, we put in an echelon form, AI. So our target, the left hand side, this A will change into identity. Eventually, the right side will be the inverse. Yeah, so now the first step is to write down in echelon form. 2 1 1 1 1 1 2 2 1. So the right part is the identity. 3 by 3 identity. Okay. So what is the next part? So first thing first, the leading diagonal should be equal to 1. For the first row, this part, this is the first row, should be 1. So we can either multiply with a constant 1 over 2, or we can exchange with R2. So either one is correct. So for me, I will just change between R2 and R1. So what I will get, so we didn't do anything to the row 3. So just copy everything. So row 1 will be the row 2. So 2 1 1 1 0 0. So copy everything in row 1 here. Change to row 2. And then row 2 will be on the row 1. So 1 1 1 0 1 0. Okay. So the next step, everything below the leading diagonal row 1 should be equal to 0. So we can do the operation simultaneously. Don't forget to write down R1 exchange with R2. So this is the operation. So for the next part, the everything below the leading diagonal 1 here will be equal to 0. So because both are, we can do this simultaneously because we are doing the operation with row 1. So because we didn't do anything with the row 1, we just copy everything on row 1. And then how to get 0 from 2 by doing operation with row 1. So what we have on row 2, we have 2. How about row 1? 1. So the result we want to have is 0. So what we can do between these 2 and 1? So 2 minus 2 will be 0. So it will be 2 minus 2 of 1. So this first row, we need to multiply with 2. So what is the new the operation for R2? The new R2, it should be R2 minus 2 of R1. So we do this for every element in row 2. Okay, so the first element 2 minus 2 of R1 is 0. And then second element is 1 minus 2 of 1. So it will be negative 1. And then the third element also the same, 1 minus 2 of 1. So it's still negative 1. For this one is 1 minus 0 is 1. 0 minus 2 is negative 2. 0 minus 0 is 0. Okay, so we do this with the third row also because it's still 2. So for the third row, the new third row, we can do the same operation. 2 minus 2 of 1. So it will be R3 minus 2 of R1. Remember, we do the operation with the first row, the one that has been changed into 1. Okay, so what we get is 0 here. And then this one, 2 minus 2 is 0. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. 0 minus 0 is 0. 0 minus 2, so negative 2. And 1 minus 0 is 1. Okay, so now we can see here that it is 1 0 0. We are done with the first column here. And then we move to the second column. Okay, for the second column, okay, what we need to do is to get the leading diagonal equal to 1. That is the first step for the second column. So how to get 1 from negative 1? We can multiply with negative 1. So the new R2 is equal to negative of the previous R2. So everything multiply with negative 1. So here is 0, 1, 1. And then the other side, negative 1 to 0. And then for every other rows, we just copy everything because we didn't do any operation yet. Okay. The next step is from this leading diagonal, we need to get 0 on the top of it and 0 on the bottom of it. Or we can do the 0 on the bottom one first. So this one, the top one, we can do the last thing later. We can do it. Okay, so what we can do now, because the bottom one is 0, so we didn't have to do anything. So we move to the next column, which is the third column, where the leading diagonal should be equal to 1 also. So what we can do, we just do the same thing as the row 2 previously, which is the RT, the new R3 is equal to negative of the previous R3. So you multiply with negative, so what we get is 0, 0, 1, and then 0, 2, negative 1. And then copy it for other rows. So 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, negative 1, 2, 0. Okay, now what we have here, we are left with the top one here, here, and here. So everything here is 1. What we need to find is to change it into 0. So how to change it into 0? Okay, what we can do is we do operation with the leading diagonal. So what is the leading diagonal for column 2? Will be this one, right? So how to do the operation? 1 and 1 to get 0 is 1 minus 1. So the first row, the new first row here, the new first row is to just subtract the row 1 with row 2. Subtract it. So 1 minus 0 is still 1. And then 1 minus 1 is 0. 1 minus 1 is 0. And then continue with 0. 1 minus, sorry. Here is R1 minus R2. 0 minus negative 1 is 2. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. 0 minus 0 is 0. And then copy for other row. 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, negative 1. And then what's left? So we left with this part. This still not equal to 0. So what we can do for row this one, we can do the width, the leading diagonal on the third column, which is here. So R3. So do operation for the new R2 with R3. So we have 1, 1. So we just subtract lah. R2 minus R3. So the for top one, we didn't do anything. So just copy 2, negative 1, 0. For this one, 0 minus 0. 0 minus 0 is 0. 1 minus 0 is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. Negative 1 minus 0 is negative 1. 2 minus 2 is 0. 0 minus negative 1 is 1. And then copy for the third row. So we get 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, negative 1. So what we can see here, the left hand side is already identity of 3 by 3 matrices. So we get our target, the left side is identity. So what will we have as the for the right side? So it will be the inverse of A. So we can write down the results. What is the inverse of A? It will be a matrix of 2, negative 1, 0, negative 1, 0, 1, and 0, 2, negative 1.